In today's video, I'm going to share the different tax rates in the stock market. Now, if you do not understand this concept, it's going to mess up your trade projection. Even worse, you will see no incentive to hold for the long term. So, we're going to start by explaining the short term capital gain tax rate. We'll touch a little bit on the long term capital gain tax rate, but we'll explain that at length in a separate video. So, what does it take to be eligible, or what does it take to trigger these actions to be taxed in either the short term capital gain tax rate or the long term capital gain tax rate? I'll tell you. So, to be taxed at the short term capital gain tax rate, which is way higher, relatively speaking, short term capital gain tax rates are usually taxed at your regular rate, which is anywhere from 30 to 40% regarding depending on your income bracket. So if you buy a stock and you sell it in less than a year, you will be taxed at the short term tax rate, which is anywhere from 30 to 40% and even higher on foreign stocks. For foreign stocks, it can be anywhere from 45 to 50%. Now, notice when I say taxed at 40%, you are taxed only at your gains, not capital wise. So, say you bought Tesla for $120, you sell it at $150 in less than a year of purchase. So, if say you bought it at January for $100, you sold at March for $150. So what will be taxed at a 40% rate depending on your income bracket? So I'm just using 40% whimsically. So 40% will be applied on the $50. So 40% of $50, which is something maybe $20 or so. So $20 is what you owe the IRS. So $20 is what you owe the IRS. The 40% is not going to be applied on the 150. It's not going to be applied on your capital, just the gains, the difference between what you bought it for and what you sold it for. So that's the short-term tax rate. And how do you trigger this tax rate? Well, if your stock shoots from $100 to $150 and you didn't sell, you're not going to be taxed at, or there's not going to be any form of tax on it because you have not made the sale. So the gains are unrealized. So let me explain this concept between unrealized gains and realized gains. So unrealized gains, as the name implies, it means you have not sold the stock. If you've not sold the stock, you've not made the gains real. It applies to losses too. If you've not sold the stock, you've not made the loss real. That's why you see something like Jeff Bezos just lost $2 billion of his net worth. He didn't lose it because those are unrealized losses. It's if he sell his stocks, he make them realize. That means he's profited, he's made the loss real. So when your stock shoots up to $150, if you didn't sell, you're not going to be taxed at anything. You're not going to be taxed on the gains you made till you sell it. So realized gain is actually the opposite. You sold the stock, you've made the gain realized, which is eligible for tax. So if you make no action, if you don't take action via sale, you would not be taxed. So that's all you need to know about the short-term tax rate. I didn't want to go into the percentage. I didn't want to go into the percentage because it is subjective via your income bracket. So if you are within the 10 to 20% income bracket tax rate, via tax rate, you'll be taxed something anywhere from that same 10 to 15%. So it varies. I don't want to preach misinformation because majority of you might watch this video a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and the system might have adjusted. So this is just a crash course trying to get your head to understand the different tax rates and how to use it to your advantage. The long-term tax rate is what has 10 to 30% tax rate. The short term is way higher because you sold the stock immediately, which is buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell in less than a year. Anywhere from 40 to 50%. I made a mistake earlier by saying 10 to 30. So anywhere from 40 to 50%, the short-term tax rate. Now the long-term tax rate, they incentivize you to hold a little bit longer. So any share or any sales made at the end of a year, after 1 year of holding, would be taxed at a more favorable rate, which is either 10 to 20% rate, while short-term tax rate is taxed at a regular basis. Hope you got this concept. So why do you so we'll talk about anyways, let's leave it at this. I hope I kept to my own end of the bargain. I'm not editing anything out. This is just to show you, this is just a crash course of how it all works. I hope I kept my own end of the bargain. Like, subscribe, comment. If you're not disciplined enough to do those three things, then I don't think you can make money in the stock market. Honest opinion. As always, I'll see you in the next one.